So I've been wanting to talk about this freedom convoy in Canada for a little while now. There's a lot of controversy around this, and you guys have probably heard the basics of this already. I'm not going to rehash everything. I'm going to just give you a quick rundown so we're all on the same page here about this dramatic escalation by the Canadian government. So the Freedom Convoy, originally it was truckers who were against vaccine mandates and vaccine passports. So for good reason, for good reason, there's a lot of people, even people who claim to be on the left, trying to downplay their grievance and act as if they have no reason to be protesting. And I think that's a wildly uninformed take because 2 years into this pandemic, one, the vaccine passport, neither one of those policies do anything to control the pandemic. So these are just arbitrary, unscientific edicts and dictates coming from the government and public health officials, and they aren't doing anything in terms of public health. And of course, they're infringing on people's civil liberties and their civil rights. And so, yeah, some people are making the point that 90% of the truckers in Canada are already vaccinated. So, oh, this is real dumb or whatever. I think that's irrelevant. I think that's a red herring. The 10% who aren't vaccinated, or even some of the people who are vaccinated and joining in these direct actions against the mandates. Yeah, however many people support the mandates and support the government authoritarian dictates is irrelevant because these people have a point on principle and they're right on principle. So I've seen a lot of people try to dismiss them because, oh, they're just a fringe, small fringe. Are they right on the substance or are they not? And particularly on the issue of opposing these mandates and providing some pushback to these mandates, they're right on the substance. But they've done something that is that's been effective. This direct action that's been going on for 3 weeks now, a little over 3 weeks now, I believe. One, so they've gotten their demands met. So it hasn't been like they came up empty on everything. A lot of the different provinces and cities in Canada have decided that they were going to lift the mandates and the vaccine passport policies that they put in place, in part because they don't want that smoke and they don't want to similar convoys of truckers or anybody else shutting down business as usual and traffic and disrupting capital. They don't want that to come to their part of the neighborhood. So they see what's going on with these convoys, and a lot of places are trying to preempt it, and they're removing these policies. So objectively, that's a win for these truckers and people who are supporting them. But at the same time, there's something, and I do think the left needs to do anybody who's opposing the establishment. They need to take a lesson from the these truckers in the Freedom Convoy on how to actually challenge power in an effective way. And I'll do an entirely separate video about that because that's an important topic. But what has been very alarming has been the response from corporations and the response from the government to these direct actions. Because, and even though their demands are being met, there's this punitive sort of like retaliatory positioning being taken by the elites and the establishment, all because these people are doing something that they disagree with. They're challenging power in an actual effective way, and they don't like that. So GoFundMe, this was a story like towards the beginning of this. GoFundMe, the Freedom Convoy and the truckers and the people supporting it raised millions of dollars on GoFundMe to support the direct action. And by the way, there are I'll get into all the different smears of the people who have been out there protesting. Again, this is a separate video, but these people have raised millions of dollars to support the direct action, and GoFundMe took it upon themselves to say, "Oh, we don't agree with this action. We want to classify it as like terrorism or whatever, and we're not going to allow our platform to be used to support these actions." So they tried to just straight up steal all the money that people donated to the Freedom Convoy on GoFundMe, and that didn't end up working. So they had to give the money back to the truckers. And now the Canadian government has taken it a step further, because so they've, over the last couple of days, they've Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, put in place or authorized the special emergency powers to the federal government that have never been used before in Canadian history. And these are just very wide-reaching. It's hard to call it anything other than he's giving himself a lot of latitude and a lot of powers that some sort of king or dictator would have, and this includes the ability to. So part of the problems that they had before was they were trying to get tow companies to move the trucks that were blocking traffic in cities and blocking bridges. So they were trying to get the tow drivers to move the people who were part of this freedom convoy. They refused to, and now part of the powers that the federal government has, that they've been granted themselves, is the power to just seize tow trucks. So they can just go to a trucking company, say, "We need your truck for government business," and take it, and there is no recourse. It's their property now, and they could use it to tow the trucks. They can revoke the insurance, the car insurance of anybody who's participating in this direct action. Again, it's crazy. And again, none of this, there is no court proceeding. Everything that, all the powers that they've granted themselves with all these emergency powers that they've granted themselves, is solely at the discretion of the federal government and the prime minister and private corporations that he's working hand in hand with. And it smells a lot like fascism, and I'll get to that in a minute. So they have the power to revoke people's car insurance for engaging in a direct action to protest the policies of the government. This is where we are. And also, even more alarming, the federal government in Canada and the major banks they're all colluded, and they are, as we speak, actively freezing the bank accounts of people associated with the Freedom Convoy, of I believe even people who are donating money to the Freedom Convoy to support the direct action. Now their bank accounts are being frozen, and they're being looked at as if they're criminals, again, with absolutely no recourse. You can't challenge this in court or anything like that, because this state of emergency that Justin Trudeau declared, it makes it so that any type of judicial review or intervention is completely suspended. And like I said, it's just uh, basically dictator rule from the executive branch, from the federal government in Canada. And this is extremely alarming. It should be frighten anybody who wants to challenge the establishment in Canada or anywhere else around the world, because these things are not isolated incidents. This is not just going to happen in Canada. The way that they've done this crackdown, honestly, I think a lot of it was in coordination with the federal government here in the United States. So what they're doing over there can very likely be turned around and used on people organizing direct action here. And they, as if that wasn't enough, they're also going to be doing criminal investigations into anybody who is part of these direct actions. Criminal investigations in anybody challenging the government, effectively challenging the government. And they said, Justin Trudeau mentioned in one of his press conferences that even after this has ended, they're still going to be doing investigations and criminal investigations and still going to be prosecuting people and looking to put people in prison for organizing a direct action to oppose completely arbitrary and unnecessarily restrictive government policies, which they themselves cannot defend, which is why so many areas and provinces in Canada just dropped the mandates as soon as they got a little bit pushback. And this is why it's important to have, whether it's 10% or 15%, a small fringe minority. There hasn't been much any pushback to all of these harmful government policies enacted during COVID. And because of that, they don't need to explain themselves. And so they just make shit up, even if it has a disastrous, harmful impact on the country and on its citizens. They just make this shit up, and everybody just goes along with it because something public safety, and they're looking out for our well-being, and they don't really have to explain it. So now they can't explain it, but still they're going to try to punish the people who call them on this bullshit, even though they know that they're dead wrong. So a couple things I just want to wrap up on this video on. This is what happens when you effectively challenge government. And it's just become, I mean, it's been clear to me for a very long time. If you've watched this show for a while, you understand this. It's been clear to me that the only real way to challenge the establishment and get real substantive policy wins is through direct actions like this. Because it didn't take long for them to get what they wanted. And to a lot of these unnecessary, unscientific COVID policies. It did not take them long to do it. They got a whole bunch of attention from it, and they actually scared the shit out of elites. And how did they do it? It wasn't, they didn't go and campaign and door knock for some politicians. They didn't donate to some Justice Democrats or some shit like that. They weren't waiting a couple election cycles to get what they wanted. No, they said, fuck it, we're going in the streets and we're going to oppose these policies. And we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we're going to disrupt business as usual, and we're going to make our demands heard. That's what they did. It was effective. And the response from the government is, we're going to bring the full force of the government down on you, as if you were literally trying to overthrow the government, or you're some like nefarious terrorist organization, because you challenge our power so effectively. So this is something that I've talked about for a while. And the context might be a little different than that. The political dynamics might be a little bit different because this is Canada, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on Canadian politics. I'm not. But what is clear is Justin Trudeau is a neoliberal. He's a liberal, welcomed and loved by neoliberals and liberals here in the United States and around the world. He was their poster child. He was probably the next most loved neoliberal politician right after Barack Obama for a very long time. And his policies are very conservative, very authoritarian. And like I've made the point that fascism, it's the people who most effectively wield it are the neoliberals, because they manage to get public support for what should be considered extreme, overreaching policies that are completely out of bounds. They manipulate the public in a way to think that it's in their best interest to go along with it. And so they face a lot less pushback than if, say, a conservative like Donald Trump was trying to push those very same policies. Now they agree on the same policies. They're all jackbooted thugs who want to crush dissent. But Trump is so uncouth that and sloppy with it that he's easy to hate, and his personality makes him easy to hate, so there's more opposition. But these neoliberals, they will come in and really show you what a police state is the moment it suits them. And again, I said that was the last point I want to make, but I want to make this point. This chapter of direct action and public pressure shows you that we only have as much freedom as they allow us. Because everybody likes to talk about, oh, the freedoms and democracies in the West and all that bullshit. Well, what does this prove to you? That's all hot air. Because the second you use your freedoms and your democracy in this so-called democracy, and you challenge the government, even if it's peaceful, even if on the substance you're correct and the government is dead wrong, even if they concede that to you, they're still going to come out and crush you, because they don't want people getting the idea that they can actually they should actually have a say in the way that they're governed. And again, this is just completely some dictator type shit, some monarch type shit. They've literally done like revolutions over shit like this. And this is a point I bring up, and people like try to smack it down, but I think it's relevant. Here in this country, they started a revolutionary war, picked up guns and shit over high taxes, over the government seizing their property, which is exactly what they're doing in Canada. They're just literally going to seize your assets, your money that you have in your bank account. They're going to tow your trucks, impound your trucks indefinitely. They're going to seize with absolutely no legal justification. You're engaging in what's supposed to be protected speech. They'll do it anyway because they have the power, and there is no they aren't really facing much pushback. And it's a shame that so many people in Canada are going along with it, because these are very extreme times. These are very extreme times. So I have more content coming out about the trucker convoy. If you guys want to help support the show, I would greatly appreciate it. Am down bad at the moment, so the links to PayPal, if you could do a one-time contribution, I would greatly appreciate it. I know people are opposing using GoFundMe because of what they've done in the trucker convoy. I don't really have that luxury at this moment because I help my situation. And I'm just not to say anything bad about the people who choose not to use GoFundMe anymore, but it's to say that similar to how in some instances you got no choice but to eat at Walmart or to shop at Walmart or go get food at McDonald's or something, where even though they pay the workers like shit. Part of this system that we live in, you have to use corporations that you do not agree with, and that's kind of the situation I'm in with GoFundMe. So like I said, if you choose not to use GoFundMe, I can't say anything. I can't say anything about that, but I would have the link to GoFundMe in the description of this video, link to Patreon, all the other ways you could help support the show. I would greatly appreciate it. And I have something that I'm trying to do on Sunday, but I need a hotel room for. I got some money, but I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be enough. So if you guys can help contribute, I'd greatly appreciate it.